Now let's go to Chat GPT and see what Chat GPT does. So before we go there, I'll just quickly introduce you to the Chat GPT interface itself. So if you sign up, you'll basically get a web browser window where now you have this kind of a layout. At the bottom, you have this text box where you can type in your question. Or like I've done here, if you just say good morning. So RC is me here on the top. I've said good morning, and ChatGPT, the green icon that you see here, has responded with good morning. How can I assist you today? So that's how the conversation progresses. You see this button called regenerate response. So ChatGPT, once it gives you a response, you can actually click on this button. It will refresh and go back and re-answer your question. And what is interesting is oftentimes it paraphrases itself. It just changes things around a little bit. It is as if it's trying to explain things to you differently. But if you very closely analyze it, it uses synonyms. It just moves around some things. It inverts concepts. It does interesting things there. On the left-hand side, you have some things, convenience things. You can create a new chat. ChatGPT actually titles every conversation that you have. So the morning greeting that you see, it's actually created by ChatGPT because it said good morning. It's just given that name to this conversation. And you can clear a conversation completely and start over again. You see an upgrade to plus option there. So ChatGPT has, this is a free sign up. It has commercial options, so you pay money. It'll basically improve the user interface here. It'll look a little better. It'll give you more conversation, maybe to export your conversation to a file. Because these are all on servers, the other thing that it does is it gives you a server that is faster, performs faster, so your response time will be, if you ask a question, it will immediately come back. So there are some benefits that you get if you upgrade to a paid option. So this is how the ChatGPT interface looks like. I would know if you really like this session and you're curious about ChatGPT, I would encourage you to sign up and ask questions and see how it behaves. So what happens when I ask ChatGPT, how do I find or where do I find benefits? So this is what it did. You can take a very quick look and read through this. So you can see how it has structured its response. I would just give you maybe 30 seconds to quickly read through this overall to understand what it's trying to say. So one important aspect that distinguishes ChatGPT from previous versions and other voice bots and so on is this truly conversational. So what I mean by that is, let's say I ask it a question, what are your favorite books? It'll immediately say, first to begin with, that it doesn't have favorites and all that, but it'll say the top 10 popular books it'll list 10. And the next question, if I just ask what else, it'll give me a few more. So it understands what we are talking about. So it maintains the context and it's a conversation. If into Google you paste what else, you'll probably not get what you're expecting, right? These days, Google is also trying to do that. If some of you have noticed, it tries to maintain context of what you have searched previously and so on. But yeah, these are conversations. And secondly, based on, it has given us a response, and based on your reaction to that response, it kind of seems to guess whether what it said earlier was useful or not. And accordingly, comes back with further information. It tries to refine it, it tries to paraphrase, or it tries to change things around a little bit so that it can be more specific about certain aspects. Based on your follow-up question, it forms an opinion or its own prior answer. So there is a learning, what you call self-learning. There is some amount of that happening. That's why if you look at the screen, they've also given this explicitly a like and an unlike button. Just as if you want to give it feedback, if you like it, then that also goes into its own self-learning. Yeah. So one point I wanted to mention, I heard the previous two speakers talk about searching in Chat GPT. I hope you just meant it loosely, because it is not a search tool, right? So in Google, you can put in what you want to look for in any order, and you will probably get very similar search results, because it's not really trying to understand your question. It's largely using the keywords in the text that you have typed. But ChatGPT is actually trying to understand the question as a human would ask and all that. So the researchers who have, the developers of the software and people who have done research as users and who are analyzing ChatGPT have actually found that it helps a great deal if we act in a human way and ask questions rather than type in keywords like we would in a search engine, because this is not a search engine. It does not actually even connect to the internet. It has already connected to the internet and learned a lot and all that, but in real time it's not connecting to the internet. So it works very differently from a search engine. We'll see some more details further down. But what I'm trying to say is, to get the best out of ChatGPT, it seems like we should be more human. We should ask questions. If I just type penguin find sea or something like that, it may come up with answers that are not satisfactory. Where if you put in a proper sentence or frame it as a question, it is more sensible. It seems more sensible. So being a different kind of software and not search engine sort of software, people actually come up with various ways to help get the right kind of responses back from ChatGPT. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you. So we can ask, so some of you actually played with it, which is excellent. So you may have seen things like this, but for the rest of the audience who are not, let's look at what it does when we ask some more complex questions. Penguins are easy enough, the kind of information you can pull from the internet. So there are a couple of examples. The first one is actually a directly copied question from one of these UPSC training websites. There are a set of questions and I just simply copied the question as it is. It's slightly more abstract, and let's see what it came up with. So poverty in less developed countries is largely due to, what's the question? And it has come back with this response. Without spending time reading this in detail, let's just go into the structure. There is a little bit of a preamble saying it's a complex issue that can have many causes and so on. And it has neatly given us, so I have not formatted anything here, right? So it has created 5 bulleted items here with subheadings, subtopics here: education, infrastructure, and access to credit, and environmental factors. So there are hidden things here as well. So taken at face value, this looks like an amazing response that a computer can actually come back with a very meaningful, credible answer to a difficult question. It is quite amazing. But there are also things there that should concern us and should make us ask questions. So these are 5 answers. Are these really the only 5? This is not a pure science sort of a topic where there is a certain fixed answer. There is a certain right answer and a wrong answer. Here, there is more involved. So are these really the reasons for poverty? Right? So what about, for example, historical events? Like we could say from our point of view in India, colonialism played a big part. Right? So where does that feature here? It does not. Right? So where is ChatGPT getting all of this content from, and how is it digesting all of this and coming up with responses? Why doesn't colonialism find a mention here? And there could be other things as well, right? So these are things to think about, and we'll try to cover some of this as we go on. Then the next question I ask is, how would you describe the history of Indo-Pak relation? And I specifically put Indo-Pak as a phrase rather than India-Pakistan to see how it responds. It clearly understood Indo-Pak. and it's given a really nice, that's one opinion, nice response. If you look at it, it's again a good preamble, and then there are different paragraphs addressing different aspects, certain historical events, and specific incidents. It is chronological if you look at it. It starts with 1947 around that time, and then ends here with 2019, and then sums it up. So these are quite interesting in terms of what software can actually do. So why is Chat GPT in the news? We'll just look at some things that have excited people around the world, both technology people and others who have seen potential impacts of Chat GPT in respective professions and so on. So as you saw, it can compose very well structured responses to questions that put in several different ways. This can be open-ended questions. You can have very specific closed-ended questions. One of the questions you ask are really answers or opinions. It seems to perform this, and it seems to be human-like, addressing us as you and so on. And one thing it definitely does is sound confident. And so it seems really confident, and obviously its English is very good. So we are all biased. If somebody speaks very good English, even among people, we immediately form a certain opinion. We transfer that sort of mental image to the software as well. So we certainly see it is very confident, and it also provides opinions, not just facts. And it seems usually correct as well. But the facts and the correctness of things, let's come back to it later. There are other aspects to consider as well. And it definitely performs far better than anything that we have seen AI applications do. Certainly better than even the reasonably sophisticated Google Assistant and Siri and so on. And people, when it was released last year, people have tried a lot of things and seen that you can ask it to compose essays. There are news media organizations which have actually got articles composed by Chat GPT and published that article on their website also as a regular news article. It can compose songs and even emails. Recently, you may have seen a news item that where a user asked ChatGPT to compose a tweet to which Elon Musk might respond, and it composed a tweet, and this person actually posted that on Twitter, and Elon Musk actually replied to it. So it can mimic different styles of writing of well-known personalities, of course. If you try to ask it about your own writing, it doesn't know you, it doesn't have information, so it will not do that. It also has summarization capabilities. If you give it a really long article, it can summarize it for you, but you have to paste the entire text into ChatGPT. It doesn't have access to the internet other than being able to talk to users. So if you give it a link, it will not do it. It can even write software code. If you actually paste software code into it, it can identify bugs. It can find better ways of writing the software. In the US, people have experimented by asking it questions that would appear in business school exams, law school exams, medical exams, and it has passed them to getting various levels of various ratings, grades. So already children and adults alike who are learning use Chat GPT, have tried to use Chat GPT to do their homework assignments, and in fact some schools in the US have banned Chat GPT in their access to Chat GPT on the school computers. Teachers have tried to see how they can use it. They have pasted student essays into it and ask for feedback, and Chat GPT has come back with feedback that they could actually use. The other thing you could do, rather the other thing people have done is to give it text and ask it to come up with questions. So it has come up with questions, either open-ended questions or even multiple choice questions. It seems to understand what we are asking and it comes back with questions as well. These are really mind-boggling. Of course, we can get into details of things that it could have done better or things that it went wrong in. But this is, at least for me, mind-boggling. There's been nothing like this in our human civilization before. So Microsoft, I mentioned, has already invested in OpenAI, the company behind Chat GPT. Like I said, they plan to integrate it with Microsoft Bing. So their idea is to make chat itself search itself more chat oriented. And Google has announced recently its own version of an AI-powered chat application called Bard. So these applications, these are very new. It's in fact less than a year that these have been available to us. There have been a lot of positive comments, very extremely positive, and there are concerns. But these are here to stay, and they're only going to get better. And they're going to increasingly become more and more accessible. So what does this mean for us? So a couple of examples I gave here, students actually using Chat GPT to do their homework or even learn about topics. Like if they're asked about, say, Indo-Pak relations, the history of it, it's as simple as typing that question in Chat GPT and getting a response and having some understanding of the topic. And teachers are using it. There are a couple of examples that we discussed.